After Moses went down the mountain, he gave orders for the people to wash their clothes and make themselves acceptable to worship God. He told them to be ready in 3 days and not to have sex. No sex in the meantime, okay? On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning, and a thick cloud covered the mountain. A loud trumpet blast was heard, and everyone in the camp trembled with fear. Moses then led them out of the camp to meet God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Stand at the footy. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord had come down in a flaming fire. Smoke poured out of the mountain just like a furnace, and the whole mountain shook. The trumpet blew louder and louder. Moses spoke, and God answered him with thunder. The Lord came down to the top of Mount Sinai and told Moses to meet him there. Then he said, Moses, go and warn the people not to cross the boundary that you have set at the foot of the mountain. They must not cross it to come and look at me. Because if they do, many of them will die. Only the priests may come near me, and they must obey strict rules before I let them. If they don't, they will be punished. Moses replied, the people can't come up the mountain. You warned us to stay away because it is holy. Then the Lord told Moses, go down and bring Aaron back here with you. But the priests and people must not try to push their way through, or I will rush at them like a flood. After Moses had gone back down, he told the people what the Lord had said. So Moses climbed all the way up the hill, talked to God, and then God's like, they've gone past the thing, go down, tell the people, and also tell the priests. But apparently we haven't got priests yet, because he's going to choose the priests after this. But go down and tell the priests. Bring Aaron here and put the priests and people, and we'll rush them like a flood. After Moses had gone back down, he told them what the Lord had said. God said to the people of Israel, I am the Lord your God, the one who brought you out of Egypt where you were slaves. Do not worship any god except me. Do not make idols that look like anything in the sky, or on the earth, or in the ocean, under the earth. Do not bow down and worship idols. I am the Lord your God, and I demand all your love. And if you reject me, I will punish your families for 3 or 4 generations. But if you love me and obey my laws, I will be kind to your families for thousands of generations. Do not misuse my name. I am the Lord your God, and I will punish anyone who misuses my name. Remember that the Sabbath day belongs to me, and you have 6 days when you can do your work, so do work. But on the seventh day of each week belongs to me, your God. No one is to work on that day. Not you, your children, your slaves, your animals, or the foreigners who live in your towns. In 6 days I made the sky, the earth, the heavens, everything in them, but on the seventh day I rested. That's why I made the Sabbath a special day that belongs to me. Respect your father and your mother, and you will live a long time in the land I am giving you. Do not murder. Be faithful in marriage. Do not steal. Do not tell lies about others. Do not want anything that belongs to someone else. Don't want anyone's house, wife, or husband, slaves, bullocks, donkeys, or anything else. I like how it always says do not, except for the one that says respect. It says don't. It's not a do not. That one's a respect your mothers and fathers. Yeah, interesting. The people trembled with fear when they heard the thunder and the trumpet and saw the lightning and the smoke coming from the mountain. They stood a long way off and said to Moses,
If you speak to us, we will listen, but don't let God speak to us, or we will die.
Don't be afraid, Moses replied. Oops, that was God's voice. Don't be afraid, Moses replied. God has come only to test you, so that by obeying him you won't sin. But when Moses went near the thick cloud where God was, the people stayed a long way off. They were scared. The Lord told Moses to say to the people of Israel, with your own eyes you saw me speak to you from heaven, so you must make idols of silver or gold to worship in place of me. Build an altar out of earth and offer on it your sacrifices of sheep, goats, and cattle. You must never make idols, he's saying, but build an altar. An altar's okay, an idol's not. You can build an altar. Whenever I choose to be worshipped, I will come down to bless you. But it's interesting, you can build an altar that has images of the Nephilim. So you can have an altar images of angels, but it's maybe that's not an idol. I don't know the difference. You tell me. Research it for me. Build an altar out of earth. I will come down to bless you. If you ever build an altar for me out of stones, don't use any tools to chisel the stones, because that would make the altar unfit. And don't build an altar that requires steps. You might expose yourself when you climb up.
Don't want someone to see my private parts now, do I? Going up the stairs. Oopsies, saw the family jewels.
The Lord gave Moses the following laws for his people. If you buy a Hebrew slave, he must remain your slave for 6 years. So if you get a slave, make sure he stays around for 6 years, okay? But in the 7th year, you must set him free. Thanks for being my slave. You can go now. It's been 7 years. Without cost to him. If he was single at the time you bought him, he alone must be set free. But if he was married at the time, both he and his wife must be given their freedom. If you give him a wife and they have children, only the man himself must be set free. His wife and children remain the property of his owner.
Yeah, so if you got a slave man, got married, you gave him a wife, he has kids, he's got to go away. You, you now own his wife and his kids. See ya, mate. Thanks for your wife and kids and your slavery. Now go. Go find another one. Find another wife too, maybe.
But suppose the slave loves his wife. Oh, here we go, we find out. And the children, so much that he won't leave without them. They're my children, please. Then he must stand beside either the door or the doorpost at the place of worship, while his owner punches a small hole through one of his ears with a sharp metal rod. This makes him a slave for life.
Yeah, I really like my family. I'm gonna be a slave for life instead of going. Yeah. I'll get a little ring.
A young woman who was sold by her father doesn't gain her freedom in the same way that a man does.
I'm sorry, girls.
If she doesn't please the man who bought her to be his wife, he must let her be bought back. He cannot sell her to foreigners. This would break the contract made with her. If he selects her as a wife for his son, he must treat her as his own daughter. Oh, I love you, daughter. If the man later marries another woman, he must continue to provide food and clothing for the one he bought and to treat her as a wife.
Yes, give me many a women. I'll treat 'em all as wives.
He must treat her as his own. No, I read that. If he fails to do any of these things, she must be given her freedom without cost.
You stopped. You didn't do it right. I'm running away with no cost.
The Lord said, "Death is the punishment for murder."
Oh, the Lord said, back to the Lord voice, "But if you do not intend to kill someone, and I, the Lord, let it happen anyway, you may run for safety to a place that I have set aside. If you plan in advance to murder someone, there's no escape, not even by holding on to my altar. You will be dragged off and killed. Death is the punishment for attacking your father or mother. Death is the punishment for kidnapping. If you sell the person you kidnapped, or if you are caught with that person, the penalty is death. Death is the punishment for cursing your father or mother. Do not curse your father or mother, because we'll kill you. Oh, God will kill you. Suppose two of you are arguing, and you hit the other with either a rock or a fist without causing a fatal injury. If the victim has to stay in bed, oh, I'm just a bit in bed for a while, and later has to use a stick when walking outside, you must pay for the loss of time and do what you can to help until the injury is completely healed. Yay, I don't need the stick anymore. That's your only responsibility. Death is the punishment for beating any of your slaves to death. However, if the slave lives a few days after the beating, oh, I'm feeling better. However, if the slave lives a few days after the beating, you are not to be punished. After all, you have already lost the services of the slave who was your property. Yeah, how silly, you beat him and now you had no one to do your work, so you've been punished anyway. No beating slaves. Not to death, anyway. Suppose a pregnant woman suffers a miscarriage as the result of an injury caused by someone who is fighting. Boom! If she isn't badly hurt, the one who injured her must pay whatever fine her husband demands and the judges approve.
But if she is seriously injured, the payment will be life for life. Yeah, kill everyone. Woohoo!